Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Fly Like an Eagle podcast. It is May 31st. We took a week off last week because of Memorial Day. Just something we came up with on both ends. And it's a break we pretty much both needed. Well, me in particular. I don't know about Scott so much, but I definitely needed a break from everything like life in general and, how that works sometimes. But we are back. We have a lot to discuss. And we are here ready to give you the news that you need, especially sad news. Eagles legend Devante Parker has retired. And there's a lot of there's a lot of bulletin board material today. There's a lot of stuff we need to go over, but that is one of the bigger ones, considering that we seem like the only team in NFL history where players sign here and they just want to retire. It just always happens. And I was actually kind of hyped up for Devante Parker. I'm not going to lie to you, because he would have been a decent slot receiver on this team. And now we don't really have one. So it kind of scares me a little bit. But with that said, we could find someone, maybe Cortland Sutton, maybe we could pry away from Denver. But we'll see what happens. What's up, Scotty?
What's going on, Kyle? I'm glad to hear that you had a good MDW. You were I know you were in North Jersey. I forget where you told me that you were.
LBI.
Oh, yeah, LBI. So you're actually not far from me in Brigantine.
Yeah, not at all. It was like 45 minutes.
But it's weird, like, it's the next beach town over, but it takes like an hour. You have to like go all the way around and then back into LBI, which is annoying.
Literally.
But, I had a great weekend. I had a great weekend myself.
It's a clusterfuck because on that highway there was a ton of traffic that weekend to get down to like the Atlantic City area. I wanted to try to go like to Atlantic City to gamble a little bit, but it just wasn't in the cards. But it was a good weekend nonetheless.
When did you leave? Because I left to go down Friday at like 4:35, and I didn't hit any traffic.
I left. So going into LBI, it was around Saturday morning. So I was going down there, and it was just nonstop traffic. Now, luckily, my friend's beach house, is located in Stafford County, which is like 5 minutes away from the bridge of Long Beach Island. So it worked out perfectly.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, my Memorial Day was more like Labor Day, because we had to open up my house and power wash and do all that cleaning, fun stuff, which, I mean, you got to get it done, make it nice. And then I'm going to Pride this weekend in Asbury Park, but I'll probably be back down the shore the following weekend. So, yeah, I mean, I love summer, and obviously it's an exciting time for the Eagles to steer back to our main conversation and point of this podcast.
Yeah, good old Asbury Park. I was actually just there, 2 weeks ago? I was at Johnny and Max. It's a pretty good spot.
Yeah, it's a nice, clean beach town. I wouldn't want to live. I don't know. Would you want to live at a beach town all year round?
I mean, unless I was retired, old, and couldn't do anything to.
You would be in like Florida or California or somewhere then, right?
Yeah, I'd be in Florida, Arizona, probably Avalon, if anything, if it's in this state. But other than that, probably not. Yeah, no.
I feel like the winter's like just depressing at the shore.
No, it's that, like, here's the thing. Here's how I see it, and then we'll get back to our original points. The thing about living at the shore is you have to worry about the winter time, and you have to worry about that hurricane that comes once every 10 years that destroys everything you own. So, I mean, that's probably why I would never, like, own a house down there unless I got insurance that covered everything plus more, which is expensive. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, going down there for the summertime is fun, but for the most part, I think I'd rather just venture off to like a South state.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like that. I have like a family beach house, and then obviously I live in South Jersey. Go back and forth, which I love.
Yeah, I was there a couple times. It's nice. But moving on.
I didn't know where you were going with the Devante Parker thing. That was clever. How long did it take you to think that one up? Was that on the spot, or you planned?
No, so 5 minutes before the show, I pretty much put a thumbnail in there. I was like, let me just lead off with that, and we'll go from there.
But yeah, Jordan Dobbins says, from what I heard, he wasn't going to get much playing time. And Kyle, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not when you say you're worried, but I think I remember you saying like he was shot, like you were fucking around, right?
All right, so here's the thing. Worried might be a little bit of a stretch, but at the same time, we don't really have a dynamic slot receiver on this team. So who are you going to bring in to replace him now? Even though he
They
didn't
signed
really.
John Ross, which we're going to talk about.
Oh, come on. Like, John Ross has hands of stone. He's really fast, but at the same time, like, what's he going to – what is his benefit of being on this team? Like, he gets passed around like a $2 hooker. Like, I mean, I just don't understand what his benefit is on this team.
I mean, who's their deep threat, speedy, open up the top receiver?
Devante Smith.
He's – when you call him more of a route runner?
Yeah, but no, you're asking who I think is the best. Like,
it's a person to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have one if that's the real answer.
Yeah, you don't. What about no Britt Covey, right?
Oh my God, crash test dummy.
I'm just messing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the kickoff is gone, so I mean, we don't have to call him that anymore.
But yeah, basically, it's an even swap for me. I mean, I think you were being a little dramatic when you're like, "Oh, players love to retire when they get here." Like, whatever.
They do.
I mean, it is weird. Like, if you're that, like, what happened, or like you're that torn that you would sign the contract. Because does he get any? I'm sure he gets something for signing that contract, right? Or no, to get a thing.
Wow. And any guaranteed money that they gave him, he has to give back.
Oh, okay. Because like if he would have got hurt, it would have been different. But yeah,
correct.
But yeah, obviously it's a couple weeks old now, this story, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, receivers not a big concern for me. I mean, we can go over their receivers real quick. And again, like, you never know. Hopefully they have some undrafted rookie or some. I mean, we've always fallen in love with these stupid like Paul Turner camps, which, I mean, I'm so over that. Like, I did that when we didn't win a Super Bowl because it was like interesting, but now it's like I don't care. The preseason, there's only 3 games. Like, nothing even matters at all in a preseason game anymore.
Well,
so
the biggest rookie wide receiver that's going to get that label of a Philadelphia guy is definitely going to be Enos Smith from Texas A&M because of his name. So I don't know if he's going to be any good, but
you're like
how people, yeah. But yeah. Much like B-Ball Paul and people like that, there's always that one player that even if he's a joke, they worship just because.
They also signed Paris Campbell. Not that I really know who that is.
Yeah, he's stink.
He was a 2nd-round pick. He's been on 2 teams, the Colts, and he was on the Giants last year. So that should tell us all we need to know. You're right.
Yeah. So we don't really have much other than Smitty and AJ, but we do have Saquon. He gets balls out of the backfield.
And we know Howie's not afraid to make a trade, or like I said, I think the more likely option is hopefully someone emerges as a decent option out of that crapshoot, right?
Right. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick, so it could happen.
Yeah, and they are high on that wide receiver. Who did they draft? Was it Johnny Wilson or no?
I know they drafted Enos Smith in like the 5th round.
They drafted Johnny Wilson in the 6th. Oh yeah, Enos Wilson. I didn't even know that was his name. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at it. I'm like, yeah, people are gonna have a field day with this one.
Okay, cool.
I want to see how you actually pronounce that.
All right. Well, moving on a little bit here. The next thing that I want to talk about is something I think that happened I think it was last week or the week before, that Eagles did sign Cooper DeJean to a 4-year deal worth $9.28 million, includes a $3.5 million signing bonus. Now, at the time of our show notes, he was the last rookie still not signed was Quinyon Mitchell. Do you know if he got signed?
Quinyon Mitchell, I believe he's still on unsigned draft pick.
Yeah. So obviously, you don't really want to like speculate there. I know people, again, I mean, this is what we do. We're Eagles fans and it's the media and a podcast. But I remember draft night, people were saying, oh, he's not smiling. He's not hyped, this, that, the third. Not that that means anything. And now he's the last one to sign. He's your first round pick and supposed to be your best player, obviously, that because you took him, with your best overall pick of the draft. Does that give anything to you? Are you going to be dramatic, or is it just another day?
Just another day. I mean, honestly, it's like
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
yeah, I was just looking at this whole like I was looking at the whole problem, and it said projected to be able to sign a 4-year, $14.8 million contract, which will be fully guaranteed if he signs it. So that's what we're looking at right there.
Yeah, and I mean, we're again, since the collective bargaining agreement changed in 2011, remember the days of like Sam Bradford and Matthew Stafford getting like $50 million contracts? Like that just doesn't happen anymore.
Nope.
And, it's bad for the players. Obviously, it's good for the league and the owners, which, I mean, I don't care about billionaires. But all in all, it does kind of make sense to like prove yourself then rather than just becoming like wealthy overnight with no pro experience.
Of keeping money. Yep.
But if I was a player, I would want the most I can get too. Who wouldn't, right?
Yeah, but you were nailing it right on the head there. You said you could get wealthy overnight with having no experience. Now I don't know what you really meant by that, but in the way I think about that is when you get a ton
Like
of money,
overly like, all right, your whole lifestyle changes from, I mean,
yeah.
honestly, I can't fathom it, but like 3 million versus 40 million is a pretty big
Oh,
difference,
it's huge.
right?
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it's like when you get that much money and you're a kid, you're gonna spend that money and you're not gonna have anything at the end of your career if you don't invest it wisely.
exactly my point.
Yep.
And you think back, especially me being 27 now, and thinking
Yep.
back when I was 22, 23, I think some of these kids are even 21 getting drafted. Like, could you imagine if you had those resources and those funds and what you would do? Like, it's really is wild, right?
I mean, I did some crazy stuff with the money I did have. I can only imagine what I would do if I had that money. So yeah, I mean, being a kid with that much money, yeah, it could probably get reckless a little bit for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like people don't talk about that enough
Hmm.
because they're expected to be, especially in this day and age, like rookies don't even sit anymore. They're expected to be professionals and good on and off the field from day one. And then if they're not, obviously social media is not going to let them forget about it.
Hmm.
So it's a different day and age, obviously the way that these kids come up and they train and they work on their bodies and their nutrition, like they're better prepared for it because of everything that we know about science, working out, sleep, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're either mature or you're not. And most likely in your early 20s, you're just
You're
not as
not.
mature as you're going to be in your later
Mhm.
20s, 30s, etc.
Exactly. I mean, maturity with the 20 to 21-year-old is pretty rare. I mean, I think we can both agree on that. So, yeah,
Even if
it's
you like, obviously, like, I mean, I thought I was, you always think like, oh, I'm doing everything right. But like, it was fun. You have your fun. And again, we're not under the spotlight of those people,
oh hell no.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think he will get signed. Again, I'm not judging him. I do not care about any off the field stuff unless it's like a crime, domestic violence, some type of like and racism. Like, as long as you're not really being a total like just piece of shit,
Mhm.
I care about if you want your money, if something, you know what I mean? I only care about what you produce on the field at this point as a fan.
Well, also a lot of people want their money like in advance because they don't know when they're gonna die. So it's like, why not have it with you? You know?
Yeah, for sure. I just think that like you're not gonna break the system
Mhm.
like him. They're not gonna. If every single other player is getting paid around this, like you'd have to be some generational, a quarterback basically at the first overall pick and say, "Oh, I'm not playing unless you give me this," because then it's like, well, you have leverage.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
All right.
But good luck to him with getting that contract. Hopefully he's worth it. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I'm as high on him as other people, especially because we drafted him so high and he's from Toledo. But hey, I hope he balls out.
For sure. For sure. I'm actually going to add another topic into our show after we discuss this, which I think it's been a long time coming, and we're definitely going to have time today to do it. And I know it's something that you're really passionate about. Mm-hmm. But first, I clipped an article from CBS. Not sure exactly who typed or wrote this, but it was on the CBS website. They wrote, "The Eagles are operating with Super Bowl or bust intentions."
Mm-hmm.
Surrounding embattled coach Nick Sirianni with veteran coordinators Kellen and Vic Fangio, the Eagles then added juicy names like Saquon Barkley and C.J. Gardner-Johnson to an all-star lineup that fizzled out in late 2023. They need to win again. So basically, which I kind of know your opinion, but are the Eagles operating with Super Bowl or bust intentions?
Well, I think every single team in the National Football League not named the Giants or Carolina is operating with a chance to get
Washington.
Yeah, or Washington is operating with a chance to get to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, yeah, let's go off the juicy names first. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Saquon Barkley. I mean, we re-signed A.J. Brown. They're pretty high names. So, I mean, yeah, I like the juicy players that they mentioned, but yeah, I mean, you'd be dumb to think that they weren't operating with Super Bowl intentions. But will they get to the Super Bowl? We'll see how it plays out.
Well, another way I'll phrase it is, again, like losing that Super Bowl that we watched together, looking like in the moment, I was only mad to see Andy Reid win another one before us, and then he won another one. So it's kind of just like sickening, and it is what it is. I do feel just weird about that. I'm sure a lot of people do. They just don't want to say it, but I'll be honest. But yeah, I don't want to go there and lose. So it's like, I don't know. Just losing in the playoffs is terrible. I think it's honestly better to lose in the first round than.
I gotta be honest with you. The only thing I was mad about that whole night was losing a coin toss bet to my friend. Like, I think because it was like $100 bet, and I bet heads, he bet tails, and it was heads. He was like, "Yeah," and then took my money. That was the only thing I was really mad about that night. And that was even after we lost. I was like, "Well, can't win them all. Let's go to the club." That's basically what I said.
And I agree because we thought we would be back, and then obviously we saw how last season ended. Mm-hmm. Again, not that I'm like super salty with the Chiefs or overly concerned, but I don't know what I would be satisfied with besides a Super Bowl win. Like, what it would just depend on how they play, who they're playing, or like, I don't know. I'm up with my expectation yet.
I think the 2022 season really did us a disservice in a way. Because if you look back at that season, it was such a cakewalk getting to the Super Bowl. Like it was too easy. Like we had no dynamic, we had no obstacle in the way really. And playing that game and losing that game, you nailed it right on the head. You thought it would be easy to get back the way we got there. And last year served as the biggest slice of humble pie because we ran into some of the most crappiest teams at once. Well, best teams at once. And we got destroyed by San Fran. Then we went to Seattle where we never win. Went to Dallas where we haven't won recently. And we were tired. We got bounced by Baker Mayfield in the playoffs. And it served us a humble pie to where you went from getting to the Super Bowl easily to going to next year thinking you're not going to have Nick Sirianni and you don't know what's going to happen. Now, with the players go Go ahead.
I was gonna say going from a Super Bowl to not being able to win a game at the end of the season. Couldn't even win any.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I also was thinking about this the other week. If they would have, after all that shit, if they would have won the Cowboys game, they would have won the division.
Yeah.
Because the Cowboys finished 12-5.
Yeah. Yep.
Like they could have won every other game and just won that game. Like it's crazy.
I think the worst part about this season is
that's how good they started, Kyle.
But this is how I think about this upcoming season and what I don't know what to expect, because you have two different worlds. You have one where you walk into the Super Bowl, and you had another one where you looked like the worst team in the NFL in the last week of the season. So you have the same players coming back. You have, in essence, have the same coaching staff coming back, other than our coordinators. And
it's a whole new defensive staff.
I mean, I guess, but it's old as hell. Everyone knows their schemes because they've been in the league forever.
Well, it's like that's what they want. They just want like some type of consistency. And again, Vic Fangio is not going to get a head coaching job, so
yeah,
that's what they.
But it's like I don't know what to expect because we do have Saquon Barkley. I love Saquon Barkley.
They're obsessed with him for some reason too, Vic Fangio.
No reason not to be. He's a
No, Vic Fangio. They're obsessed with.
Wow. We have our first for the Fall Like an Eagle podcast, a super chat. All right, Isaac Thielen says, "My Giants are sweeping you this year. It's our time." Well, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I'm gonna have to disagree. I honestly think that the Giants are the laughing stock of the league still. I saw that pure check down from Daniel Jones the other day in practice when no one's even rushing him. You guys are gonna finish with 4 wins this year, but thank you again for the super chat and go Birds.
Yeah, we've talked about the Giants. We're going to keep talking about them because they suck so bad and it's fun for us. But just like they need to make up their minds with Daniel Jones, because I've heard pundits, fans, for the draft, let's get a quarterback. No, actually, we love Daniel Jones. We made the right decision. Not like make up your mind. The reality is he's not good enough. He's not even Kirk Cousins. He's bad. He's just bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to move on, admit you made a mistake. Look at us with Wentz. Wentz had a hell of a lot more success than Daniel Jones, but we cut our losses with someone that went 13-3, and you know what I mean? So you're holding on to a 9-7-1 season. He can't beat the division. He's never beaten the Cowboys. They get blown out on national television. Like, aren't you guys sick of it yet? Like, get rid of Daniel Jones.
Well, here's the thing.
And you lost Saquon Barkley too.
Yeah. Their franchise went south so quickly after they won that Super Bowl that I think he's within that age range, if I'm guessing. He's within that age range to where he's not old enough to understand how bad they were before those Super Bowls, but he's old enough to understand that they won 2 Super Bowls and they're not that far off from it to where he thinks it's going to happen every year when that's just not the case.
Wait, explain that again. You're saying that they were bad before they won them?
I don't know how old Isaac is. So not bad.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Daniel. I thought you were talking about Daniel Jones. I didn't mean you meant our super chatter. Okay.
No, I was talking about yeah. Like they played the Ravens in the Super Bowl in 2000, but they got blown out in that game. So it's like
you want to know the honesty about the Giants is they were an average team throughout the entire 2000s. They went on some magical runs. Give them props. We couldn't do it. Would we choose that over what we did in the 2000s? Ultimately, yes, because it's about winning a championship. But it's a fine line. Like, do you want to have like 7, 6, and 10 seasons in a row and then win and just hate your life and not even watch? There's no reason to even watch the games for 7 years. But the Giants were like an 8-8 average team. They had some up and down years, but they were never the favorite to win like the Super Bowl. They weren't the best team in the league. Like, when's the last time the Giants were like the best team in the league? I don't even know.
2008.
Like the number 1 seed. Like no,
2008.
it was the Patriots. They were 16-0.
Nope, that was 2007. 2008 was the Giants.
And that was a Pittsburgh, Arizona Super Bowl. So yeah, Giants were the best in the NFC.
Yeah, they were a great team, and then Plaxico shot himself, and that's when it went downhill.
Okay, so they've had one great year since I've been alive. Pretty much.
And then they went on a run in 2011, and they won the Super Bowl.
Exactly. All right, so too much time spent on the Giants, but yeah,
Yep.
you're not. We give you your money's worth there for sure.
Absolutely, and we'll do that for everyone else too.
Absolutely. So where were we? We were talking about the Eagles' Super Bowl or bust intentions, and this can pretty much lead us into our next topic, and we can bounce it off with this one because I think we're going to spend a lot of time on this, and I think it's me more than you that we haven't just dove deep into it, and that's Jalen Hurts, and that's the most important conversation that we're going to have all summer. Unless someone gets hurt or something.
But here's the thing, all right? Before we go on, here's the thing. Why is he, and this isn't because of you, why is he a topic of discussion everywhere? Now, he's a quarterback of this team no matter what. Why? Because we signed Kenny Pickett, that people think that he's going to get outplayed in training camp or something? Like, why are people freaking out?
No one thinks that.
No, but it's like, why are people freaking out? Like I said, it's not you.
Who's freaking out? Twitter,
WIP. I listen to WIP almost every single day, and like the callers are saying Jalen Hurts isn't even a top 15 quarterback, and the hosts are like agreeing with them. And it's just like it's weird.
It's such a year-to-year league. It's insane, and it's almost like it insults your intelligence.
Yeah,
because we know it's the same old song and dance. Someone's good one year, they have a down year. Like it's a body of work. Like Daniel Jones. A body of work, he sucks. Okay. Kirk Cousins, good quarterback, winning the playoffs. Dak, great regular season. Like you are what you are. Like your true colors show.
Yeah.
With Hurts, it's still relatively a small sample size, and overall, he had 3 winning seasons. So like, that's just the facts. Now his play on the field, I'll let you take that, and then I will give my rebuttal, my opinion.
I mean, his play on the field is good as his legs take him. Now, if he has the legs for the whole 17-game season, he's a dynamic quarterback. Yes, I'm going to use the word dynamic because when you have that running ability like he has to get away from pressure and go down the field 50 yards, people are going to look at your legs what am I trying to say? People are going to look at your running ability with your arm. So
yeah, he was hurt last year, but they tried to cover it up.
Yeah. So
why would you cover it up? Because like they're gonna want to fucking tackle him, hit him on the ground anyways. What's the point of covering up the injury?
Because they still thought he was the best option, like over Mariota, even if he was on one leg.
But you could still say he's questionable. He wasn't on the injury report at all.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to put him on the injury list because teams are going to target his injury and he's going to be out for the year.
Then why have an injury report at all, right?
Well, I mean, because
I think they could have got in trouble for not putting him on, but like whatever.
Yeah.
In my opinion, again, I think he was hurt last year, and I mean, in all reality, he's been hurt all 3 years. I think he missed a game at least. Did he miss a game last year? No, he didn't.
No,
yeah, thank God Mariota never started. Even though, do you remember when David Carr said that he should on NFL Network?
Yeah, I mean, David Carr is probably one of the biggest busts ever because he was the number 1 pick overall. But
sack heaven.
Yeah, I know.
But getting back to Hurts, well, I'm going to ask you because when we first started this podcast, I feel like you were sour on Hurts and you were a little like, so do you feel like you have to defend him now because these radicals are just so on the other side, like shitting on him? And it's like,
I'm whatever on him. He's the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. I can have my opinion about him, but at the end of the day, I have to support who has the bird on their helmet and who's running the team. What is me? What am I gonna do to get him to be out of the position? I'm not running the team. I'm just a fan. I
Wait,
just
so
have a
you want him out of the position? Is that what you're
no.
saying?
I don't like. Did I like Kenny Pickett? Do I think they should have drafted Kenny Pickett at first? Yes, but I also saw Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, and I didn't think he was that good. So if you're
Think
gonna
he-
pay Jalen Hurts what you're paying him, and it's a guaranteed contract for the most part, if you're gonna pay him, you might as well stick with him. It is what it is.
No, I'm a huge fan of Jalen Hurts. I think there was some clear concerns. The biggest concerns for me is, it's going to be the injury history because, again, with his legs, it's a huge component of his game, opens up everything else. So if he's hurting, that's obviously he's not going to be at his best. No player is, but especially him. And then number two, the reading the field was a real concern last year. But as much as we have to swallow it, and it's not an excuse, but it was just an entire shit show. The coordinators, something was not right. The AJ Brown, whatever it was, there was a lot of drama. Not saying that he shouldn't do basic reads, but also they could not pick up the blitz. It was just a mess. So if you're under pressure, you're scared as fuck. Hopefully you're not seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold said on ESPN that ruined his entire career, which still is wild to me. But yeah, again, people are overreacting. Where does Hurts rank? Because last year, 2022, we had him in the top 5. I think I might have had him at number 3 as the best quarterback.
I'm at 2.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that because you have to live in the moment and with your own 2 eyes. He was great in the Super Bowl, so why would you not put him in the top 5?
Mm-hmm.
And is he a top 5 quarterback? We don't know. Because look at Lamar Jackson. And the people are – and I was watching Speak on FS1 the other day on YouTube with, McCoy, Acho, Joy. And the way that they were talking, it was oh, well, those are the elite quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes. And they were trying to really put not in a disrespectful way, but say Hurts is good, but those are the elite people. Well, he was in that group after the Super Bowl loss, was he not?
Yeah, no, he totally was. I think what people are trying to do now, I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of this as well. So over the years, I didn't like when they drafted Jalen Hurts. I didn't like watching him play at Alabama. He got benched for Tua at halftime in the national title game. I thought it was a complete reach to pick him, especially when we had a quarterback in Carson Wentz. And it stuck with me. I wanted to be right so much to where I would critique every little part of his game. And in 2022, I couldn't do that because, number one, the offensive line was perfect. The weapons were perfect. He made every throw.
And
It was like every throw was on the dot.
He was almost perfect. You can say that too, right?
Yeah, every throw was on the dot. So 2022, I couldn't say anything negatively about him until that fumble in the Super Bowl. But even after that, we were still up 10 at halftime. So it's I couldn't say anything about him then. Last year, I was watching him and I'm like, now this is the Hurts that I was used to seeing in college. He would regress a little bit. He wouldn't read the blitzes. The offensive line wasn't performing at the level we're used to. Players weren't getting open. He couldn't overtake the game himself. These are the flaws that he had in college. And that game again.
I agree, but clearly he was better than he was in 2020. Because I think 2021, I'd go back to that Thursday night Bucks game.
Yeah.
If you remember that,
yeah.
I was ready. I'm done with him. I'm really ready to move on because that was very embarrassing. The throws that he was making, it was Tim Tebow-esque in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you look at his stats, he had a productive year. It's not like he couldn't play at all. And again, it's just it's so dramatic with everything in life, but especially in football between good and bad. You're good, you suck. Where are you at the current point in time? And it's just I don't even think he needs to be an elite quarterback because this team has so much talent. And again, Wentz was elite in 2017, and obviously Foles was a god in the playoffs and Super Bowl. So you just have to show up in the big moments. Look at Eli Manning. You know what I mean? So he doesn't have to be a top 5 quarterback every single year. It's a lot to ask. Again, he also is young still. We bring back that age thing back up too. So
Well, why do you think they re-signed or extended AJ Brown? Because they saw what Jalen Hurts is with and without him. You know, last year AJ Brown had a touchdown in almost every single week up until December. You know,
that was nice.
he almost broke his own record that he set the year before in Eagles franchise history with receiving yards. So you had to resign him because without AJ Brown in 2021, he looked horrible. So I mean, that is literally his Batman. Devonta Smith is his Robin, and I'm listen. I know you're not going to like this, but Jalen Hurts is a product of what is around him. It's what he is.
I think Shady said he's good in this system, which is kind of what Micah Parsons was saying. But like, it's hard to see it because he's like that's all we've seen him in. Yeah. And you could probably say that for a lot of quarterbacks too.
Like I was at the Jets game in the Meadowlands last year. The Jets never beat us. Jalen Hurts had 3 interceptions that game, and he had an abysmal throw down the field on 4th down when he only needed like 5 yards, and he just launched it when nobody was in the area. So plays like that, elite quarterbacks never, ever attempt. So I can't call him an elite quarterback. Like, I just can't.
I like that you brought that game up because I know it doesn't get overlooked for you because you were there and you lived it and you were fucking off that day. But it's kind of a forgettable game for me. And it wasn't, I mean, you could say it was a preview of things to come, but it didn't feel like that at the time because they won however many games they did to get to 10-1 after that. But yeah, it was definitely some cracks in the armor with the offense, the decision making. Another thing we can talk about too is, which I've heard, is like Kellen Moore. Obviously, he's going to be a huge component this year, hopefully for the better. And everything I'm hearing and what we've seen in the past, he's a pass-happy coordinator, which is completely fine because we have so many targets to throw the ball to, and they deserve to earn their contracts and score touchdowns. But we know that 2022 was built off of the run. It was built off of Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, and Jalen Hurts. So what's your opinion? What kind of offense is Kellen Moore going to run here? Are they going to take advantage of Saquon, or is it going to be more of him out of the backfield?
It's got to be a hybrid offense. You know, you can't, or I'd say run first or hybrid. It cannot be a pass-happy offense because Jalen Hurts isn't a passing quarterback, in my opinion. He's a guy that can make the right throws at the right times at times, but he's not a guy I would go pass first with. I would definitely run Saquon Barkley as the first option on every single play. But
oh my God.
No. But if they're loading the box and you have a perfect throw, like a little out, 10 yards, bam, right there.
But I remember, because I think they were even pass happy in 22. Yeah, I think they led the league in rushing, and it was, oh my God, remember those 2 games where, wait, wasn't that this past year? With Devante, it was with Swift. It was against Minute. They put up like insane rushing games with their offensive. I remember it was like 300 rushing yards, and Swift had like 280. I want to look that up in a second if you want to check that out. What those games were, but yeah, those were insane. They made it look easy running the ball.
And that was Swift doing that. Imagine what Saquon Barkley's going to do.
That is true. Obviously, won't have Jason Kelsey, but you still have the other people, the other Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata is obviously really, really good.
Absolutely.
But no, I was going to say that I think Hurts threw the ball a lot in 22, but he had the confidence. It's all about confidence.
Well, he had the confidence because the players were wide open every single play, and he had 6 seconds to throw the ball. When you take away half of the time to throw the ball, it shows you who you truly are. And last year he kind of got exposed. Now we'll see what this year brings because he was great in 2022. I'll say he was good in 2023. He was miserable in 2021. If he's at least above good this year, I'll be happy.
I would agree. And again, last year's still the ultimate mystery. And why did he play so bad and make these fundamental mistakes with his coordinator since like Pee Wee football, basically, we'll say. Like, we don't know what happened. It's the weirdest thing how they were caught with their pants down, especially with the offense and Hurts. Like, do you have any other type of opinion or thoughts on what happened there?
I mean, we both watch the same thing every single week. It was a disaster. It was honestly up there with one of the worst Eagles seasons I've ever watched. Just because of the way it started. We started 10-1. You and I both knew that we probably weren't going anywhere in the back of our heads because of how the season started out and how we get off to a slow start every single game.
No, when they were 10-1, I was still thinking NFC title game. Like how could you not?
I mean, maybe after the Bills game, but here's my thought process on that. So I was at both the Bills and San Fran game. The Bills game, the overtime win.
Those are like two different worlds, those games, right?
Yeah, and they're 2 weeks apart. So in that overtime game, it was raining, and I was like, wow, this is magical because Jake Elliott hits that 58-yarder to go into overtime in the rain. And they missed Gabe Davis for a wide open touchdown. It's like bounces were going our way. We win the game, and then next week they weren't even prepared. So it's like it was the complete fool's gold season of all time if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And it came out of nowhere.
You know what's unfortunate? Like maybe like 10 years from now, we'll look back, is like that Bills game for Hurts, that overtime, like that could be like a career highlight moment. Mm-hmm. But because of the way the season ended, miserable, like it just doesn't mean anything, really. It was a great performance, but it was literally the last good moment of the entire season.
Yep. Awful.
So I mean that kind of sucks because I mean, who wasn't going hype? Like I was speechless, and I can't imagine you being there. It must have felt like an out of body experience for real, right?
Yeah, it really was. It was last year was one of those seasons where it brought you back to being an Eagles fan because you're expecting the team to just fail at some point, and it happened. We were living this magical dream for like the last 2 years, going to the Super Bowl easily, starting off the season 10-1 in the next year, then all of a sudden down. And it was like in the worst way possible. You lose to Jonathan Gannon, who you wanted to get rid of in epic fashion. You lose to the Giants, like it killed against the Giants. Me being stupid, having faith in that Tampa Bay game in the playoff game, and we just get destroyed.
Did you bet money on that?
I did. I took a parlay. And what happened was, it's a funny story. So I put a 14 parlay. It lost either way. So I thought I put Eagles. But I read the slip and it says Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
how do you make them? I mean, I know you like gamble like a lot, but has that ever happened?
I'm not making that up.
Did it ever happen to you before?
No, I'm not making that up. So I thought I pressed the Philadelphia Eagles money line. I pressed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line, and the slip comes out and it said Tampa Bay. I'm like, well, maybe that's God telling me something because it happened.
Wait, so did you end up winning money or no?
No, I didn't. But I think
because it was a parlay. I got you.
Yeah. But the fact that it came out the way it did, it was like a sign.
Yeah, you feel like it was a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to go back to reiterate what you said, again, I wasn't even upset because they were just playing so lifeless and so bad. And again, I don't care what anyone says. It looks like they quit, or like I don't know. There was confusion with the two different defensive coordinators, and then they wouldn't name them the defensive like that was a fucking shit show. If you're firing the coordinator, you're firing him and bring it. Like what? Like that was weird as hell. That was so strange.
It almost looked, you know what it looked like, and I don't like to have these
Why are
conspiracy.
they feeling? They're like they almost like felt bad for what the hell? I can't even remember his name now. What was the defensive coordinator's name last year?
It was Matt Patricia,
No, the other guy.
Sean Desai.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, we will not remember that name in a couple years. Seriously.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, it was, dude, it was so bad that I almost thought it was rigged. Like, they were just throwing the games on purpose. That's how bad it was.
I'm saying there wasn't anything to get angry about because it's not like they were trying and then got beat or like
They just
it's
quit.
just exactly. And again, it's just so weird. Like a head coach that stays when a team quits, like that does not happen. So I don't know, but
No,
yeah, they go ahead.
it was weird because I went to Xfinity for that one too. It was snowing. Like, we were just trying to have fun. I mean, Devante Smith has that miraculous catch in the beginning of the game. We scored 9 freaking points, and they scored 31 against us. And it's like, how the hell did we start the season 10-1?
And this, it's such a unique situation that we're never going to get over until that Brazil game. Because I think even if, like, the Super Bowl, like, we're just so confused because we don't know what the fuck happened. It was like we got hit with a baseball bat from behind and woke up in a coma.
Mhm.
And we don't know how we got there, how we got to the hospital, how we got home. And again, they didn't really give us any info. We've heard some tea leaves again with AJ Brown and Hurts. But it's like the Eagles front office, Howie and Nick, they want us to basically forget all about last year. Let's not talk about it. But no, like that's like it was so confusing. Again, I wasn't angry, upset. I felt deflated. I think that's a good word, and like defeated, and like just it was a mind fuck. That's pretty much what it was.
It was.
And I feel like this, like, we're not going to get over it. We're going to talk about it all summer and every show pretty much because we don't understand. Like, all right, the Super Bowl game, it was the holding call, it was Hurts' fumble, it was the punt. Like, we know why we lost.
Mhm.
Other seasons, we weren't good enough. We didn't have the players. We lost this wild card game because this. We don't know. We're searching for answers, and it's June 1st tomorrow. You know.
Yeah, we're searching for answers, and we're in essence bringing the same exact team back, with the exception of Saquon Barkley. So
CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a bigger part than we think because he
it's huge.
thrived.
It's huge.
He thrived here, so it's a big
get hurt. He got hurt, which sucked. Imagine if he didn't get hurt. How good he could have had like 10 picks.
Yeah, and I think he always liked being here because the fact that he's coming back to Philly after his car got stolen and people just bashed on him, like I think he just genuinely loved it here.
Yeah, he was butthurt, but I was concerned with that tweet too. Again, I'm not in the limelight like that, but he was butthurt and he was upset. So I guess he really didn't mean what he tweeted about the fan base, or he was just angry. But it's like he's not holding a grudge, and yeah, he could have probably went a couple of different places. He had a great year with the Lions last year. I don't know why he wouldn't stay with the Lions. Clearly, he probably wanted a long-term deal, and they didn't want to give it to him. We know they just paid Goff a lot of money, and they have Aiden Hutchinson to pay, who's a total stud, and also other players on that defense. But yeah, oh my God, go ahead. I was gonna bring up something else, but
well, the fact that they gave Goff what was it, $265 million, just goes to show you who the Lions are. You know, I think the Lions had a really good year last year, but yeah, you have to look past the quarterback sometimes. And I think this is what I'm correlating with Jalen Hurts. If Jared Goff didn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown, would he be Jared Goff that he's in Detroit? Like, I don't think so. So
did they arrive? Did those two arrive together last year, right? 2 years ago.
Amon-Ra was a rookie before last year. So yes,
Yeah,
yes.
22.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wait, maybe. No,
Yeah,
I
but
don't think so, actually.
Goff was really good with the Rams, like really good. Remember, I think I was at Xfinity. I think I was probably with you when that Chiefs Rams game. It was like 50-47 on Monday night.
We
Like
went.
they won,
We
didn't
went.
they?
We went. Yeah, we went to the Sixers Suns game. We had box seats because of Danko, and we went there afterwards. It was a Monday football game. I think it was like 49-45 to score, and yeah, Jared Goff was great in LA,
Oh, I do
but
remember the Sixers game now.
Jared Goff was great in LA, but he also had a guy named Cooper Cup, so that's why he was good.
Yeah, but they had like he had good players. He had like Robert Woods. They had that tight end Higbee, I think, and obviously you had Todd Gurley, which Todd Gurley, we should really do an episode like these players just drop off the face of the earth. Like he was a badass, and then just poof, like never to be spoken of again. Like seriously,
He was
right?
he was a badass that turned into ass pretty fucking quickly too. But yeah, I mean the contracts that they're giving out to these quarterbacks are ridiculous. But hey, good on them.
And just to wrap that up, as far as last season goes, I just think it's more of like a therapy session, whatever you want to call it, because we don't know what happened. I said like a playoff game, we would know where to improve. Also, another thing is we're not in the locker room. I mean, I used to play football. I know you were in. Did you play football? I know you played sports growing up.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I played.
I'm saying like we know what a locker room is, but we don't know the culture. Like they don't have a reality TV show, and my boyfriend always says this. It's like, oh, that's like what the fuck I want to see, which I agree. It's not like they do that mid-season thing, which you think like they would at some point, but they don't want to like reveal like how much money would if every team like had that type of show, like
Yep.
that the ratings, everything, it would just take on a whole new world, which maybe they'll do it eventually. They don't need to, right?
Absolutely.
Look how much fucking money they're making. Like they don't need to do a damn thing. It's like
Yeah,
a monopoly.
they're
Talk about
they're taking Christmas away from the NBA, and they're putting it on Netflix, even though it's on a Wednesday and doesn't correlate with days of football at all. Like they don't need, like you said, they don't need to make more money. They're just gonna do it because they want to.
and they don't need to take any risks like with a
Yeah,
reality TV show in the damn locker room, which they have that like Hard Knocks, but like that's all so carefully edited and everything for the most part. But again,
yeah,
back to my main point is we're not going to get over that. My other point was we're not in the locker room. We don't know the culture, and I think culture is for most people harder to fix than X's and O's.
yeah,
And that's my number one concern. And I think that's everyone's number one concern, but they're saying Hurts. They're saying AJ Brown. They're other people because that's what they can see. We did not see a lot of what went wrong last year. So you have to just rationalize something else in your mind. But whatever went on with that coaching staff, the team culture, and in that locker room was clearly all-time bad, toxic, whatever you want to say. Again, Kenny Gainwell said on an interview on Twitter that people weren't talking to each other, players.
yeah.
And he has no reason to lie about that. So that makes perfect sense. Is that enough for us? No, because you're paid millions of dollars, you're world-class athletes. Like, even if you don't talk to each other, you can still throw and catch the fucking ball and tackle. So it's like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
It's fucking middle school all over again. You know, that's what it sounds like. It's
Exactly. And
garbage.
again, these players are young. They're younger than us, most of them. Not most of them, but like, well, no, I think Saquon. We should actually, that'd be fun to look up. Hertz is 26, or he'll be 26.
No, he's like 24.
No, he's 25 at least.
Nah, I don't think so, man. I think he's turning 25.
Let me
I
look
think
it
I
up.
think I got you on this one.
He's not. No, he's 25. He'll be 26 in August.
All right, you're right. Never mind.
But again, 25, it's still young to be leading an entire city. It's not an excuse because we see other quarterbacks do it. I think he's right where he's supposed to be, Hurts. It's again, we're not going to get answers until week 1, week 5, whatever. But Hurts needs to be the leader that he was in 2022. And that's another thing you were talking about is originally you didn't want Hurts drafted. It made no sense to anyone. 2022 comes around, it's like how he's a genius. Thank God this guy is God sent. And all we've always heard about, he's an outstanding leader. You listen to Skip Bayless, you listen to any players in the locker room, they all rave about it. They weren't doing that last year. I mean, they didn't say he wasn't a good leader, but he needs to get back to that. And again, it must be egos. That's all it has to be, right?
Oh, 100%. When you have all the money in the world, the only thing that's going to be a downfall of you is ego, and most of them have it for sure.
And what these young kids and what egos in general and anything you're doing, it's like your reputation and your stock, like career-wise or as a person, if you're a part of something successful, it automatically goes up, even if you're not the number one star contributor. If you're a part of the team, you're still going to get that recognition. But like these people, they just, they've been number one their whole life. Why wouldn't they want to be number one now? But maturity, you understand the bigger picture. Like if one person's successful, everyone's successful.
And people in the NFL don't think that way.
They don't, because it's alpha males. But look at Jason Kelce. If the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl, would Jason Kelce be as popular as he is and well known? Like, no, like he wouldn't.
Well, all right. So I'll answer to that one. It depends because
and the speech at the Rocky Steps, like that would have never happened.
True, that would never happen. So I mean, you have a point there, but he did have that personality where he was an underdog. He came out of Cincinnati. He was picked in the 6th round. He was Philadelphia, and that's what people liked about him. And it just made it better that we won the Super Bowl and he had that speech with the mummers suit on. So yeah, I think eventually
he lacked confidence and the small center thing, and they wanted to trade him. Like, I'm not speaking up, or I'm fucking depressed, or I need to get my shit together. If that's what you're hearing when you go to work, right?
Yeah. When you're ready to go to work,
he literally did a whole 180. I'm sure any player could say that. Like, oh my God, this was like a rough time for me, or like I could have gotten cut, but it really was for him, and he turned that into a Hall of Fame career. So again, one of the best of all time. But
definitely 110%.
Sure. But yeah, again, I'm still obviously I feel a lot better than January, February, when I was still really pissed off and confused. I love our roster. I'm very confident. I really don't think that we have that many holes, especially if Band-Aids work, like Devin White. What I wanted to mention was, before I forgot, this week I was actually looking at the top 100 players from last year.
Right.
For some reason, I never, like, the NFL.com releases it. I don't know why I didn't look at it last summer. I was like, I don't even know. I didn't even actually finish it because I didn't even see where Hurts ranked. I stopped at the top 15 because I fell asleep.
I think he was 3.
Was he really 3?
I think he was 3 in 2022. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm about to look that up, but I want to talk about Hassan Reddick because he was on that list, and I think he was in the 30s.
That's stupid.
I'm interested to see where he's on this year's, because I think he still had 10 sacks, right?
Mm-hmm. He did.
That is one thing that I look back at from this offseason, and obviously we were upset by it, but really, they did him really dirty, and it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to come back to haunt us?
I mean, it could, but then again, he's a 30-year-old, so who knows how much time he actually had left. To get to your point, though, Jalen Hurts was number 3 that year.
Can you go
And
over the top 10 for me? I want to read the top 10.
yeah, I'll read the top 10. Number 1, Mahomes, no shocker there. Number two is Justin Jefferson. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. Number 4, Nick Bosa. Number 5, Travis Kelce. Number 6, Burrow. Number 7, Tyreek Hill. Number 8, Josh Allen. Number 9, Micah Parsons. And number 10, Chris Jones.
All right, let me say something off the bat because this explains the whole Hurts bias. Where does he rank? I don't know if you've heard lately about Justin Jefferson, but obviously one of the best players in the entire league. Last year, I believe he had an injury, right?
Yes, he was on my fantasy team.
I have literally heard people, Vikings fans, like, open to trading him and like, oh, well, there's some other rising receiver, like the number 2 player, like overall, probably hands down the best wide receiver from that season, less than 2 years ago, is now like lowered. Like he's not as viewed as like he's our best player. We can't live without him. Like that's how fast shit changes. Like it's wild.
Well, all right, they don't have the top players of 2024 right now, do they?
No, that comes out in like August, I think.
Yeah, I think Hurts is going to be way down.
They have something else to talk about in the summer.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Another
gonna be a
thing,
good summer as an Eagles fan.
No, well, another thing I want to run by you real quick, which I didn't have written down. Did you watch NFL Network a lot growing up, or no?
No, I was more of an ESPN fan, but now I'm going to switch over to NFL Network because I don't like ESPN.
So I have Comcast Xfinity, and it used to be free. Then you had to like pay like $7 for it, like for that and Red Zone, which obviously still wasn't a lot, but it was like, all right, it was free before. What the fuck? But they had a weekly show, which I'm sure you know, like Total Access. It was like an hour show every weekday, and it just got canceled last month, and it ran from like 2005 to last month or whatever it was. And they're moving Good Morning Football from New York City to LA. And they laid off. I mean, people always get laid off. There's always cuts with corporations, and it usually is just for the numbers and crunching numbers, or if someone's has a huge contract and they're not even working, they're sitting at home, or they're just doing one segment or whatever. But I guess I want to talk about the NFL media for a second. And the biggest thing that I read was, the Pat McAfee show really is changing a lot. And it's very popular. Obviously, it was, bought up by ESPN, kind of like when it was on ESPN2. And the NFL is kind of kicking their foot that they didn't get that show. But now there's going to be some deal because obviously Disney owns ESPN that I don't even know. There's going to be some kind of like partnership with NFL Network and ESPN. But basically, another thing to add to this, I don't know if you've seen Undisputed, but that's like pretty much tanking right now. Like the ratings, they're kind of over that. And obviously Skip is just really getting fucking old. But are we seeing like a change of like media, because are these shows like everything's on your phone? We get an alert if somebody gets traded. You can read stuff on Twitter. You're not watching Sports Center to see news. You're watching it to see personalities and opinions. So I don't know. What's your thought on that? Have you thought about just that changing and how it is changing before our eyes?
I have your answer right here. People are shifting to podcasts. It used to be about shows on ESPN, FS1. People used to go for their source of information there, but they had to change the dynamic from journalism, from proper journalists doing their job, telling you the news, telling you the ins and outs, to a reality show. They had to change that dynamic because people are looking for entertainment now, because no one trusts people on FS1. No one trusts people on ESPN anymore because they'll feed you an agenda or a narrative or whatever. It's like politics. People go to podcasts because anyone could do a podcast.
Yeah, but like, let's just say like sports is more of like a storyline. Politics is real life, unfortunately. So it's
All right,
like,
so I was trying to make an example.
yeah,
But it's like, to finish my point, people go to podcasts because they're just normal everyday people, some celebrities, but normal everyday people just trying to give their insight on sports. Just what they think will make the team better, what they think will happen during the week or at practice or whatever. These channels like ESPN and FS1, they don't talk about that anymore. They put negative energy in the air.
like whatever's popular, whatever's gonna get views, clicks, like just attention. It might, like you said, it might not even be true, or it might not even matter. Like, again, how many times it's like they talk about the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah.
Well, that team literally loses in the first round. Like, they don't matter in the grand scheme of the season. Like, they don't, So
I can see, like for example, I'll give you one. I listen to WIP. Do you think I listen to WIP for the sports information? No, I listen to WIP because it's funny. I like this. Sometimes I like to watch things like when you see a car accident and you stop and you just see if everything's okay or like how big the crash was. That's what I do with WIP. I go on there because they're good at having clicks and talking about drama all the time. They're not good at talking about sports. None of them are good at talking about
like the X's and O's, basically.
Yeah, no, none of them are good at talking about anything sports related. What they are good at is creating drama. And that's what I listen to because it's entertainment. But do I go to their shows looking for sports information? No. And I think they think what they're doing is a good dynamic when it's really not. It's only for people that are looking for a Kardashian radio station, which I do sometimes because I'm bored. But that doesn't mean
it's entertainment for a reason. There's all different types of entertainment. But I think the way that Pat McAfee does it, where it's like he just has that over the top personality, but it's not like he's stirring up drama. He obviously has a lot of connections playing in the league, but he definitely does it different, where like he makes it cool or fun, but it's not like he's talking shit. Because they're his friends too. Like, he knows all these people, so you really can't do that. But
yeah, and
he's good at
getting
that Brett Favre thing, which fuck Brett Favre, literally.
Yeah, he's good at getting popular guests on the show. So
yeah, Bill Belichick for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, we did.
I like how you added fuck Brett Favre in there.
Well, because that's the only thing I think about with Pat McAfee, which like Brett Favre was like suing him for defamation or, which again, like that law is so
like stealing money.
It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because unless you're saying something like which we know we're not going to say it, we're live, but what the one thing that we really can't say, like for freedom of speech about the president type thing. But yeah, like I just don't get that law, because it's like it's so hard to prove,
Yeah, people make up laws every day. It happens. as long as they don't use it on me, whatever.
All right, moving right along. The last thing that we're going to cover today, and this should be fun. Obviously, I think our last show was the schedule release, right?
Yes.
So we obviously wanted to dive a little bit on that because it's a fun, entertaining thing to do. I want to start with the NFC East schedules. I want to start with Washington because they're the least interesting to me. Actually, no, I was going to with the Giants because the Giants.
No, the Giants are very, very interesting to me because we beat them every year and it's funny. When we beat Washington, it's not funny. It's just expected.
It's we could talk about that too. Like, when Washington just plays us tough, and I guess we underestimate them. That has to be what it is. Mm-hmm. But historically, the Giants are our biggest rivals, so it's like we're never underestimating that. They did last week of the season. That was like the first time they really done that in a long time.
Yeah, it was the Super Bowl. They weren't even going to the playoffs.
They would just show up and win that game, even though it was a shit show. And whatever, we know what happened. That was another thing. They're like, oh, well, we weren't trying to win. Like, yeah, you were in the first half. Like, why? I don't know. Like, it just, obviously no one's gonna remember it, but stuff like that, it's like, all right, get your shit together. You look like a mess right now, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, if you want to pull up the Giants schedule, we can look over it together. I mean, we're not going to go like game by game. I would like to look at like their primetime games. How many like road games do they have in a row? Home games. We have Godfather 8133. I'm a Giants fan, and to be honest, I think y'all win the division. Well, the betting odds, yeah, there hasn't been a division repeat champion, and besides the Cowboys, we're far and away the favorite.
Dude, let me tell you something right off the bat. The odds makers, no, the schedule makers hate the Giants. Like, they want people to watch them lose every single week. Like, look at these two games in particular. Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys, 8:15, September 26th, in the heat of it all. Then they scheduled another primetime game, Giants for Steelers in Pittsburgh. Like,
Oh,
even
wait,
though the
no,
Steelers aren't all that, it's like,
that first game's on Thursday night Prime Video. Thank God.
oh,
It's
okay.
not.
Well,
Thank God it's not Sunday night.
Well, you and I both know that Thursday night games are unwatchable for the most part anyway. So that's probably why they put it there.
Well, that's why I wanted Jason Kelsey to fucking do commentary. But remember that we last year at PJ's we watched the Patriots. It's a lock. I'll never forget that.
It's
right?
a lock. Like, yeah, because someone bet the Giants to win that game, and they were like, it's a lock. And it ended up being like 40-0 or something.
And there's like, again, Giants fans, because we got a couple watching right now. I don't know what you guys are just so delusional, and it's like really, really weird because you're like 20-2 again. You've lost 20 games to the Cowboys, and you're all confident. Like, well, I don't get it. Like, you've been embarrassed, and you're still trying to pump out your chest.
They have.
Like, what does that make any sense? Like, you need to understand how bad you suck, and come to terms with it. And maybe then you can try and like change something, but you still think you can compete. Like, it's weird.
I like the comments on Twitter and other social media apps where someone says a realistic thing like the Giants are going to win 4 games this year, and then we always have that one fan that's like, "Oh, we don't need you anyway. You have 31 other teams to go root for." Like, those are like the best comments.
Another thing Godfather just said, yeah, they play again. We talked about the Thanksgiving schedule a tiny bit. I don't know why. Again, it's going to probably pop a big number because it's, New York's the biggest market and Dallas is like 5. I think the biggest media markets are New York 1, LA 2, Chicago 3, Philly 4, Dallas 5. Pretty sure it's still like that.
See, usually I would take the Lions game to stuff the turkey this year, but now I think I'm going to take the Giants and Cowboys game to stuff the turkey this year because the Lions are better. So,
and I think they play the Bears, and the Bears might be somewhat watchable, hopefully, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can tell. I was going to bring this up earlier because I think they gave up on Justin Fields too quick. I get that they have their guy now. What?
Not me. I think Justin Fields is atrocious.
I don't know. He was on that top 100 players list. I think he was like 60 or something.
Really?
Like, that's also a popularity contest, that list too, a little bit.
Yeah.
But we saw him. Remember, we saw him in 22. Like, he had talent. I remember my parents were watching that game. I wasn't even with them, but they were texting me, and they're like, "Wow, this kid, like, he's athletic," and he is. But we know that athleticism doesn't always translate to a great quarterback, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of good running plays for fantasy, but I don't know. I never really liked the arm.
It was impressive. It was very impressive when he ran.
Yeah, it was.
It looked cool. It looked cool.
It did look cool.
It was exciting.
Did it convert into wins though? That's what we're trying to say.
Also, we're in the day and age of betting and fantasy, and it's like people are more in the moment and not the big picture. So they're like, "Oh my God, I like this player because I like what he just did 30 seconds ago," right?
True. Yep.
And it's like, again, that makes sense with Daniel Jones. that Vikings playoff game, oh my God, this is his ceiling. This is who he really is. Like, it happened one time, and we know that Minnesota team wasn't even that good. And then you got annihilated by the Eagles. Like, it was never competitive the whole game in the playoffs.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. Even the Eagles fans, and we're the first to boo and say you suck, but like, we're never going to be that delusional. If we lost to a team 20 out of 22 times, who the fuck would pump their chest out? Like, I don't know.
I mean, we'll show up and we'll get drunk in the parking lot, but we're not going to like expect a win. You know?
Yeah, like you would hope for a win, but it's a lock, and like, I don't know.
It's a lock. It was fucking 40-0 in the rain.
And it's like, I'm never gonna feel bad for them, but I think they did that because they like, oh my God, we went 9-7. We're gonna make the next jump, and it was a failure. It was a complete failure because they were worse.
Yeah, but it's always fun to laugh at, so I hope they never change.
No, I want them to suck forever. I think their misery is like, it's almost like it's like, you know, not to make light of like mental health, but it's almost like you're fucking like psychopath or like something, because it's like, it doesn't make any sense, right?
No, I thought you were going to lead into, if you're having depressing thoughts, just think of the Giants and you'll be happy.
You say that one. I'm talking about their fans. Like, again, I don't know, like, even like Bad Dog and like all these people,
so delusional.
They're not reacting how we would react if we were them for all these years. Like, we would be fucking over it. We wouldn't be going to the games. I wouldn't be wearing this fucking sweatshirt right now, you know?
Yeah, we'd be like the Phillies. They were bad for 10 years.
Yeah, we're like, I don't know. So again, they love those 2 Super Bowls, which again, I wish we had them and did that in the 2000s, but you know, you're paying for your whatever the devil gave you them, and now you're paying the price for that.
Yeah, you got to pay the piper, you know.
Yeah, you can't have it all. Even though 2 is nice. 2 is nice. But then it's like, it's whatever, but and also for us with Nick Foles, but to have your Super Bowl winning quarterback like questioned, like, is he a Hall of Famer? Like, who wants to deal with that too?
Yeah, I mean, we all know Eli Manning's not a Hall of Famer, but he will get in at some point
because of those 2 games and
the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that one for sure. That's definitely what do they call that? Tribalism, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Back to the Giants.
Definitely not cannibalism.
Oh, hell no. So this is a hard schedule for them. Look at their first 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, they play the Vikings, Browns, Cowboys, Seahawks, Bengals, Eagles, Steelers. Like, they're not going to win any of those games. They're not
going to win a game until
they'll beat they could beat Washington at Washington.
They can beat Washington, but I'll aim for that Panthers game.
So 1-9, right?
Ooh. Jesus.
It's not going to be a good season. It's also weird. They always have a tough schedule and they suck. Like, when are they going to get? I don't know why their schedule is always so hard.
No, because you know what's funny? They play a last place schedule every year, but the teams that they're facing just happen to get better. Like, I would be shocked if the Panthers just got better, even though we all expect them to suck.
I mean, yeah. Like, how much better are the Giants than the Panthers? And
they're not. The Giants never get better because they're ran into the ground every single year by their front office.
So they have 1, 2, 3 8:00 games. Looks like they're playing in Munich, which that's terrible. Giants, Panthers in Germany. What the hell, at 9:30 in the morning?
Even that's not an advantage. And then you look at the Ravens-Giants game. At least they have that at home.
Yeah, again, I really don't care. They're going to suck. But the biggest problem I have with their schedule is just that Thanksgiving Cowboys game. I guess they want to give the Cowboys a cupcake and just build them up and just try and do what they do every year with the Cowboys, right? That's the only thought behind it for me.
It'll be some background noise when everyone's eating dinner.
All right, moving on I'm going to bring up the Washington Commanders 24 schedule now. And I want because the Commanders have obviously changed a lot in the past year with Dan Snyder having to sell the team after he was one of the most disgusting owners and people in the league.
Yeah.
Got away with it because he's a billionaire for so long.
Mm.
And, we make jokes about the stadium, which I can't hear you make more jokes, but
I mean,
what are your thoughts on the Washington then, now, forever?
Well, I mean, I will say this: if he was the president of the United States, he'd be a convicted felon. But I guess he's going to get off with that. But my general thoughts,
rightfully so.
Yeah, but my general thoughts about that is, yeah, I mean, the Washington Commanders. I wouldn't say that they have a better ownership right now because the one owner that they have, Josh Harris, owns like 3 or 4 teams outside of each city. So he has the Jersey Devils, he has the Sixers, and he has Washington. So he's using them as like a big money grab.
Who wouldn't, right?
Yeah, I know. I understand that. But like you need to have someone that fixes your organization with heart.
Do you think Jeff Bezos should have bought this team?
No, because he would have. You have to have someone that loves and is passionate about football, like being your own.
We don't know that he's not, and I think he would have really brought a lot of cool things that would have made Washington more, stand out. Like, I mean, the power of Amazon. Like, imagine that stadium that they could fucking build. Like, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be made of gold. That would be pretty cool.
Have your Prime box show up to your seat.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I just don't think like Steve Ballmer, for example, he's the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers and he owns Microsoft, but he's there at every game. He absolutely loves, he's passionate about the sport. That's an owner that you need. You need a billionaire that loves
and people love the Clippers. They're fans, whether they're good or bad. They're just like again, I'm using the word cool a lot today. I don't know what other word to use. Like just popular in the mainstream in sports world, right?
Fetch.
I'm dead. What about Yeet?
God. Dude, I was watching wrestling when that happened, and I turned the TV off. I was like, "What the hell is this shit?"
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the products right now. I'm glad that I talk about it with my boyfriend Nick. Like, I'm glad I went to WrestleMania because WrestleMania was actually really good and fun. But
how was that in person?
It was amazing. I've heard it was a lot better than night one. People that went to both, and I don't know. It was just like it was. The Rock was there, and The Rock is such like he's a fucking star. Yeah, And you need star power. Right now, they don't have that. They don't care to have it because they just got $5 billion from Netflix, I think, for their TV deal. So it's another thing is it's quantity over quality in this day and age, which again, me and my boyfriend hate. We talk about all the time, and it's like no competition. And if you have $1 billion, what's the incentive to like do your best job? It's like it's passion and love at that point, but you're just living off your name, right? But back to WrestleMania. WrestleMania was awesome. They really built up Cody Rhodes and his story. He won the title from Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was a great heel champion. He was champion for like 3 years. So that was a great moment to see. You had Logan Paul there, who's actually doing really well. I know people aren't the biggest fan of Logan Paul. I don't really know him from like Vine and all those days, so I think he's like just like a stud, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the overall feeling in the stadium, just everything was super, super cool. But week to week, the show is like it's just there's nothing that grabs you. It's really hard to watch. It's boring, especially Raw.
Yeah, and the one chick that could wrestle got injured. So I mean, who are you gonna have as a champion?
Yeah, it was they went to this girl named Liv Morgan, and I mean, I could talk about wrestling forever, but I'll say one last thing is like they're straying away. Okay, obviously wrestling was about Hulk Hogan, storylines, backstage characters. If you don't have a reason why they're fighting, they're just doing a fake wrestling match. There's no meaning behind like who are you cheering for? Like if you don't want one person to win, I'll give you another example, which I talk about too. All right, so you know like baby face and heel, like good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
So there was kids behind me at WrestleMania when Roman Reigns came out, which again, the bad guy, the heel, like they do like the one symbol or whatever. They were doing that, but then they're cheering Cody too. Like you can't, it's like a football game. You're not gonna cheer for both fucking teams.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? So that's the main problem. It's like, and especially a kid, like when I was a kid, I loved The Undertaker. I hated Edge. That was a big rivalry on SmackDown.
I love
and
Edge.
Like as a heel or like now?
Oh yeah. I don't really get into wrestling talk that much because I'm very casual, like maybe not even casual. But I remember when he won the belt from Cena at New Year's Resolution in his first time ever. And he was probably one of the best heels of all time, honestly.
Well, also no one really ever liked Cena after he stopped the rapping gimmick, like the casual fans, I would say.
Yeah, true.
Now they like him just because they know his name again. We're talking about wrestling, which I don't have a problem with, but but they're not putting on a show and a story. It's just all about high spots, which is like impressive moves, but it's not a real fight. So at the end of the day, what are you fighting for? Like a fake title. You need like stakes and like a storyline and characters of why these people don't like each other. Like and they're straight. They want to be considered a sport, and it's like it's entertainment.
But I also thought it was kind of stupid because like you're in essence putting your body at risk for a fixed outcome. Like it's like you're willing to tear both your ACLs jumping so high off of a banister or a platform or wherever you're at to like finish a story of a live movie. Like you know what's gonna happen. Like I always thought that was kind of dumb.
Yeah, but you could think of it like, all right, like dancers, like the same type of thing. It's like a story, and you're like, anything. Yeah, anything like it's kind of like similar to that, I would say. And you're getting paid hundreds of thousands, sometimes $1 million. So
yeah, I got you.
And the other thing is too, a last thing, is that a lot of the wrestlers today, they were lifelong fans and they're just happy to be there. So it's like there's no Rock or Steve Austin or like that wants to change the game. There's like, all right, yes, sir. Like I'll wear a tutu and drop kick someone, or I'll say yeet. I'll say yeet, right? Which how old is yeet, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, all right. So I'll say one last thing about it. Like, I thought this last WrestleMania would have been better if it weren't the Undertaker and it was Stone Cold.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Undertaker's my favorite of all time, so I'm not going to complain. But yeah, Stone Cold would have made more storyline, chronological sense. Yeah, because I mean, his feud with The Rock is one of the biggest of all time. Absolutely. Back to football. So we're going to go through the Washington Commanders schedule here. Obviously their main story is Jalen Daniels again, but so they hired Dan Quinn. They have a new owner. They're still playing in that fucked up all-time, like one of the worst stadiums ever existing in the world.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Is this team ready to change? Do they know how to change? Like what's your thoughts?
I think that the stadium's a dump. I don't know if they're ever going to change it because it sells out almost every single game, whether you're a road or home fan.
Well, I heard they give tickets away to companies, and then like there's some shady shit. It's the Daniel Snyder.
It's such a weirdo. Yeah, I know. But I think like Washington, I have to give them credit. I have to give them a little bit of credit though. Washington plays us tough every single year. they do the exact opposite of what the Giants do to us every single year. And they're always up to play. I'd say right now, you might not agree with this, but if they won a little bit more, I would think they'd be closer to our top rival right now because of the way they play us.
But we sweep them a lot, even though the games are close.
They're close.
Dallas,
And the one year we started undefeated, they were our first loss.
Yeah, and that was like a feather in their cap that didn't really mean anything, but in the moment. I heard they actually got in trouble because they you're not allowed to have beer on NFL flights, and they like drank beer and celebrated after that game, which I thought was a little funny.
Idiots.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that this team, again, like, all right, let's compare it to the Sixers. Like, if they could get to the Sixers level, that would be like they'd be doing parades. They would build a new stadium.
Yeah.
They were a playoff team, first round elimination, second round, like whatever. This team is the definition of average. Well, last year was terrible. Before that, they were like 8-8, but like, who cares about 8-8? Like, you're not going to get a gold star. Like, you're stuck in mediocrity. They haven't won more than 10 games. They've won 10 games since like 2005. They won 11. Like, that's so bad. That's so bad. And then we always talk about they only win the division when everyone else is bad.
Yeah, they win the division at like 7-9 or like 8-9, and it's like you wouldn't even want to know
what. Well, they're the exact same as Giants fans because they'll be pumping their chest out winning the division at 7-9.
Yeah.
So ultimately, these fans need to realize that these franchises, they've manipulated you to think that you're the shit because of 30, 40 years ago now. And no one cares. No one remembers it. Like no one is thinking about it when the ball kicks off. So yeah, these fans are just in denial. They will get upset for a few moments and then they're like, they don't care. I don't know. Or they're just so defeated that they just want to cheer for everything and they want to act like fans when they win the division at 7-9, right?
No, I think deep down every fan base wants at least one playoff game because they're hyped up. But at the end of the day, if you know you're going to lose, what's the point?
Yeah, and they did play Tom Brady well in that one game. The thing is, but when they really beat us, besides like that 2014 game, which I don't even remember when we were trying to battle for that wild card spot after losing to Seattle and Dallas, every time we've lost to Washington, like, all right, we know we suck. Like, we know we're going to lose. Like the Chip Kelly year. And the 2020 with Doug when he benched Hurts, but most of the time, like, or the when they swept us Doug Peterson's first year, I think it was. It's like, well, we know we're not a good team, but you're not gonna really beat us when we're going to the Super Bowl. Again, they did end our undefeated streak, but like shit happens. But yeah, this team is just the definition of mediocrity, and they're a little bit below that just because they never win more than 10 games. Looking at their schedule, they have 2 8:00 games. Thank God. They play Bengals on Monday night on ABC. That might be a doubleheader. And then they play us on Prime Video in mid-November, Thursday night. Anything, I don't know if you have the schedule pulled up, but anything stick out to you here?
No, not really. I'm looking at it right now. So they play the Bengals. It's definitely going to be, I think that's not a doubleheader. I think that's by itself because the first week's usually a doubleheader.
Did you see that they really have random week doubleheaders this season?
That's weird.
Like week 8, or like, is it 2 games? It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, their schedule kind of benefits them if they could put stuff together. Even that Ravens game, they're not that far away from there, so
Yeah, they really would have to beat the Giants at home because we know they're not beating the Bengals. They're probably not going to Tampa and winning in week 1.
No.
You have the Cardinals, who are not good. I mean, this schedule is definitely easier than the Giants for sure. So if they want to, it's just hard to imagine saying that they're going to turn the franchise over a new leaf. I mean, this is the time to do it. But if they can somehow win 7 or 8 games, they're in the right direction. And they should, with this schedule, win more games than the Giants, because you said you see the Giants starting 1-9. Like, I don't see any wins, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
So yeah, it really depends on Jalen Daniels. But like we saw RG3, not to like, compare, they have a similar skill set. They're both Washington quarterbacks. Not because they're both black, but like, they're both athletic, whatever. But again, we saw RG3 have a great year, and what did it mean? Like he literally died. Like no, like figuratively, and his knee literally. So it's like, again, everyone gets hyped up for 1 year. You think you have the future, but you don't fucking know. All we know is that Patrick Mahomes is probably the greatest quarterback ever. Honestly.
See, and that was messed up because when Robert Griffin III got hurt against the Seattle Seahawks in that playoff game, like people weren't compassionate. They would make memes about him saying how he was doing the stanky leg and stuff. It was just
don't they make memes about everyone?
No, everyone, except if they really like you. Like if Jalen Hurts ever got hurt, I don't see how you could bash him because he doesn't really say anything.
Other fan bases would.
Yeah, like when Carson Wentz, when he was horrible. God, like every fan base did memes. It was really bad.
Well, we were so good, and like it's like, I mean, to them, these teams that never win shit, like we were the Patriots. I mean, we won a Super Bowl. To the Giants in Washington, like, come on. Yeah. Even the Cowboys. I mean, in this day and age, like, so I get it. But like I said, 7 or 8 wins would be really good for this team, and time will tell, because until we see it, and it would have happened by now. Like the Cowboys, they would have won. They would have made a championship game by now with what their system and their culture is.
Yeah.
Washington's trying to put in a new culture, but I mean, honestly, they need a new stadium because like I don't know. It's just bad energy. And like, could you see any success where the fuck there's piss dropping down on you? Like, come on, like be real. Yeah.
Like, people are afraid of getting stung by bees.
Players know that's a thing. You can't tell me they don't. So it's like, all right, he doesn't give a fuck about the stadium. He doesn't really give a fuck about us. It's all about money. So like, why would I invest my heart and soul into this? Right?
No, I agree. And the traffic getting out of there is terrible. There's bees everywhere, and it's really bad.
And I actually, for some reason, I've been there twice.
Oh, I was too. I was there once in 2019, and I was there once in 2017 with you and Hukie.
I was there with the 17 game, which is a great game looking back with that Fletcher Cox touchdowns. Oh, yeah. And then I went to a terrible game. What the Eagles won was in 21 when they needed to beat Washington to clinch. I think it was the wild card. Where like
and that's when they played the Bears in the first round. I remember that.
No, this was 21. It's when they played the Bucks. But yeah, you are right. They beat Washington 24-0. But this was 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just a terrible game. The Eagles won like 20-16, something like that. Like just hold on to win. So I think it was on New Year's Day.
Makes sense.
But yeah, again, Washington, do something. Like it's kind of like above the players' control, but it's kind of like now or never for them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, they have Jaden Daniels. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. If he can't do it, no one can. It's that simple.
Now, they do have Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, which is so random. But, I mean, who wouldn't want to coach Jalen Daniels? That's probably why he accepted it. I mean, clearly, like to come back to the NFL, he wants to be a head coach again, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work out.
No, it's not. It's one of those examples of where you have an offensive coordinator, but that's all he's good at. He's good at coaching the offense and getting everyone prepared on one side of the field. But when someone wants you to be a head coach, no one respects him like that, and he's just always going to be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and did you know that Chip Kelly was trying to be an offensive coordinator again this year?
Yeah, no one wants him in the NFL because of how he's like. Well, people say he sabotages the Eagles, but I don't know. I don't think I'll go that far. I mean, we kind of treat our enemies in this town like they're war enemies, and it's pretty fucked up.
Well, his issue was he's the prototypical like sergeant coach, and just not this day and age. Like he's not relatable. Like
sports science smoothies and like stuff like that.
Well, that I'm talking about just the way he like treats people. Like I feel like Cliff Kingsbury again is like younger and like fucking wants to go have a drink with the players and fucking go to the strip club. Not saying you should do all that stuff.
He wants to be one of the boys, yeah.
Chip Kelly, he wouldn't even talk to you. He would have his assistant go and deliver his message.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's such a toxic environment. So
yeah, it was, and the fucking smoothies. Just I don't know what that was all about.
Oh, no, they still do the smoothies. Like, what do you mean? It was the sleeping. They wanted them to sleep with like monitors and shit hooked up to them and track.
So weird.
Which the fucking Apple Watch does that now. So
yeah.
Right. All right, and not least, and of course, the most important team to us, our biggest rival for the past 15 years, the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm going to bring up their schedule. So we don't have much time left, but just give me your rundown of the Cowboys, state of the Cowboys right now.
Well, I'll give you a bold prediction. I think they're going to win a majority of the regular season games and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Another thing just came to my mind that I wanted to say. You would probably know the over-under for wins. Isn't it like 10.5 for the Eagles and the Cowboys, somewhere around there?
Yeah, so the Cowboys open up against the Browns on September 8th at 4:25.
Do you think that's easy money? It should be 11.5.
Could be. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now, and it's kind of favorable.
I'm saying the over/under for wins. Like,
I
think both teams are going to win 11 games, right?
I mean, yeah, you would think so now, but there's injuries and everything. If Dak goes down, here's the difference between us and the Cowboys. If Dak goes down, I don't think they can win football games. If Hurts goes down, I still think we could win football games.
Remember when they tried to build Cooper Rush up too? Oh my God, they just can't. Like, these fans love them, but they're not the brightest tools in the shed. And again, people like controversy and drama and talk about a thing for a couple weeks and then never talk about it again. Like, I just like want to use my head and not be caught up in the moment and delusional. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys fans are always they're just jerk off. Like honestly, like if there's any Cowboys fan talking or like watching our show right now, I'm sorry, but your fan base is just so stupid.
They all have the same personality. Have you ever noticed that?
Yep.
More than any other fan, I mean, they obviously are the biggest fan base, so it makes sense, but more than any other sport fan base in the world, like they all like are smug, like cocky, like think their shit doesn't stink. Like it's like it's like the franchise tells you how to think like subconsciously by what they market and what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And they fall for it like hook, line, and sinker. Like, all right, ESPN's talking about us. How many times have you seen in the YouTube comments, oh, well, like, you care about us because you're watching and, like, all that, like, bullshit. Like, oh, they're still talking about us. And, like, like it's hurting you. Like, it's not helping you at this point.
Yeah, they all wear jean shorts and, like, sneakers from the 90s.
Yeah, they really. And that's why Stephen A. Smith's a millionaire. He made his whole career, and he was
Oh,
great
making
at
fun of
it.
the Cowboys.
And now
Yeah.
it's getting a little long in the tooth, but like
It's still
remember
funny.
the best memory I have is that Packers 2016 game.
Yeah.
Like that was like the height of Stephen A. Smith. Like when they used to do those like little remix videos and all that shit, I fucking loved that. Oh my god.
Every year, it's the same video clip of him turning into his camera and just laughing like right into the camera, like every single year, and it's the same type of funny every single year.
It is, and then they're like making an annual holiday. Like this is the day the Cowboys lose the playoffs, and it's like I don't even know. It's so weird because we're all NFL fans. We all watch this shit. Like some of us believe like, okay, they're gonna beat the 7th seed Green Bay. Like that they were supposed to win that game, right?
Yep.
Like so it was like, oh my God, like what the fuck? Like this is really happening again.
What I think they're also the same franchise, well, the only franchise to have their cart where it wheels off the players just run right into people. Like
Oh
I
my
watch that video from time to time when I'm having a bad day. I'm like, how does that even happen?
worried about every other thing, right? All
Yeah.
right, so we only have a couple minutes left. Let's look at their schedule. Obviously, this is the most important to us. Like we could literally go game by game for this one, and
Yeah.
I think they're tied for the most primetime games. Obviously, they play their games in Central Time, so it's going to say 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they have 6 primetime games. Now, the only thing I'm worried about, and the Cowboys, again, I feel like this is where it's kind of like they just do this because they have the classic Cowboy story. They give them that easy stretch, those cupcake games. They have it every single year. It's either in the beginning of the schedule. Last year they played Carolina and Washington on Thanksgiving. So what do you know? It's the same thing again here because they play starting in week 12. They have Washington, New York. They do have Cincinnati in between, and then they have Carolina. Like 3 out of your 4 games are literal cupcakes.
Well, they probably gave them that because they're forcing them to play San Fran on the road this year, and they know they're not going to win that game.
They played San Fran on the road last year and got blown out. Remember Sunday night?
Yeah, they're not going to win that game. That's an easy lock for the 49ers.
Well, they did give them a bye week right before they play the 49ers, so they're helping them out there.
It won't matter.
Well, I know, but you're throwing them a bone. All right, so let's quickly go game by game. Why not? They start up at Cleveland. We played Cleveland early too. Deshaun Watson again. We always say Cleveland has a talented roster. We're not going to go through. I'm going to say Cowboys win, but it's like how good are the Cowboys? Like they lost a lot of their players. They didn't replace them. CeeDee Lamb is very good, but I think he's a little overrated because he's a Cowboy. Would you agree?
No. Nah, that's the one thing I disagree with you on, and there's not much I disagree with, but CeeDee Lamb's a beast. He's an absolute stud.
But like, I've seen people like top 15 player in the league. Like
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
no. Like,
Dude, yeah, I mean,
you
play fantasy football, right?
Yeah, and I know his fantasy numbers, but again, that doesn't translate. It does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, no, he's good, man. I would say like top 5 wide receiver at the very least. Yeah.
I would agree. So Browns win or loss?
Loss.
Why? All right. Well, I think you have to discuss the losses, whether they're going to lose.
Reason being is because it's the Browns home opener. Dallas Cowboys, they're always going to have that one doozy of a game where they lose for no apparent reason. Sean Watson's looking for a bounce back. He's getting paid a lot of money guaranteed. The fans are going to be jumping. Everyone's healthy. It's going to be one of those close games at the end, but I think that's advantage home team, especially when it's the first game of the year, and I think that's why they lose.
I'm saying they win because after that playoff loss, like that's just so like they need to win more than we need to win. Even if like if
Yeah,
how
but
that
what does that matter when it's the same thing every single year?
it matters to that fan base because they're just gonna like explode even more. And it doesn't really matter, but I think they're just gonna really be an all-time fed up that we haven't seen in a while. Like because fans are starting to like settle down and stop saying America's team and like thinking you're the best when you literally fucking lose every year. So the more you lose, like you're gonna fucking you have to, right? Or no? It's always gonna be the '90s dynasty, right?
Yeah, it's almost been 30 years. Like I mean, it's been a long time.
All right. Saints at home. I'm saying a win for them.
Okay, I'll say win.
Just on the road again. I picked the Eagles to lose on the road. I don't feel too confident about that, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that's a win for the Cowboys.
All right, Ravens at home. Ravens are a better team. They do play the Ravens. I remember them beating the Ravens. Joe Flacco, but I don't see them beating Lamar Jackson. But that should be a really good game.
Yeah, I think that's a Ravens win. So I'll start the Cowboys at 1-2.
And I have them at 2-1. Right? Or no, 2-1. At the Giants, we're gonna skip that win. At Pittsburgh on Sunday night.
I'm gonna say win.
Just because Pittsburgh's quarterback, unless Russell Wilson has some type of resurgence.
No, I'm gonna say that because Cowboys fans travel well to Pittsburgh.
No, I was saying the only reason the Steelers would win if Russell Wilson has some type of like comeback season.
True. Yeah, I agree.
I don't see that happening. Like that would be very hard to imagine.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys win that game.
Justin Fields will be the Steelers quarterback at some point this season.
It's a bold one.
This is a big game, Detroit, which is kind of weird seeing Detroit like as one of the best teams. I mean, honestly happy for them because like they were worse than Washington and New York for fucking decades. So, good for them. Will they get revenge from that? They got screwed on that 2-point conversion last year. Another game where if Dallas would have lost, we could have fucking won the division again, which is so funny. That's why we're going through this because it's that close.
Literally.
Obviously, it would have been with us if we just would have beat the Giants twice and the Cardinals. We would have won the division going away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always going to be this close. I think Detroit gets them here because Detroit's better than the Cowboys talent-wise, and they should have beat them last year in Dallas, right?
Well, I don't know. Dallas has Elliott back, so that could jump them a little bit.
You're being sarcastic, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Detroit wins.
Then they have their bye week at San Fran. Got to be a loss.
Oh yeah, loss.
At Atlanta. 1 o'clock game. They usually are. They love 1 o'clock game. The Cowboys.
I like Atlanta.
No,
I do.
That's the game they need to win. If they don't win, then they're not. They're definitely over under. They're not winning 11 games. So, so right now I have them at how many wins? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. So what do I have them at? 5-3?
Yeah, I'm 3-5.
Damn. I mean, you could be right. You really could be, but I think if they're 3-5, like Mike McCarthy's getting fired.
I don't think he's a good coach anyway, so that's possible.
But I don't even know. Then why not get rid of him? Because he won. You finished 5 3 years in a row.
Well, I mean, he also.
Why do they care? Except they care about that, but they're like they'll get rid of a player like it's nobody's job, right?
Because players are replaceable.
coaches are harder to find, you would think.
Especially coaches that listen to you.
Well, also coaches that are going 12-5 3 years in a row, right?
Yep.
Philly at home. This is 425. Obviously, I picked the Eagles to sweep. So this is a loss for me. This is a win for you for the Cowboys, right?
No, it's a loss.
A loss for who? And this is at home for Dallas. You know that, right?
Oh, this one's at home for Dallas?
Yeah, at AT&T.
Who did they play the week before? Atlanta?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. You said they lose to Atlanta, right?
Yeah, they're gonna beat us. They're gonna mollywop us. Actually,
I think we're gonna win.
They're gonna kick the shit out of us. Honestly.
Did you have us losing to Detroit or no?
Where is it?
Week 6.
Week 6.
Oh, it's at home for the Cowboys. I have the Lions winning because they should have won last year. That bullshit 2-point conversion call.
Yeah, no. I have the Lions winning that game as well.
All right, so I have the Cowboys at 5-4. This is probably one of their best games because Houston's very exciting now with C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans.
Yep.
This is at home. They should lose this game. C.J. Stroud, they just seem like winners. I'm not going to overhype C.J. Stroud. Again, like, already had one great year. He's fucking Joe Montana now. But I think Houston is better than Dallas. So that's 5-5 for me.
No, I have Houston winning, yeah. Yeah. I have Houston winning.
So what are you at, like 4-6? Something like that?
Yeah, I like that combination of Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs now. I love that combination.
No, that team, they have the most because we've kind of seen the Bengals and the Bills. Like, Bills, you just can't do it. Like, Josh Allen, very cool and a great player, but they got worse. Houston could be that next, standard with the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, they could be.
They could be the ones that take down the Chiefs at some point.
It's gonna be tough, but they could.
Not next year, but
yep.
Washington Giants, like, they're gonna win, right?
Yeah, they're gonna win those games.
So that puts me at 7-5. I'm gonna say Bengals, they're going to lose.
Where is it?
It's Monday night at Dallas.
Oh, Dallas is gonna steamroll them.
The Bengals?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Who did the Bengals play the week before that?
I would have to bring up the Bengals schedule. Let me do that real quick. So that's week 14. So we're looking for Bengals 13. Pittsburgh. So yeah, you might be right. That's going to be a tough. Well, how good's Pittsburgh going to be with Justin Fields by that point, right?
Could be. Yeah, they're going to steamroll the Bengals.
That's a hot take. I'm going to have them lose. So that puts me at 7-6. So they're not either way.
They're not great.
No, not like years past. Carolina 8-6. It's a win for you. This is probably their determining game. Again, I feel like all of their tough games besides San Francisco are at home, which is, again, that's kind of annoying for us, right?
Yeah, it really is.
They play Tampa, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Detroit, Houston, all at home.
Mm-hmm.
They only play Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and San Francisco of note on the road. Like, one of their away games is fucking Carolina again. Like, what the hell?
Garbage.
I think they'll beat Tampa 8-6. What about you?
Where's Tampa at?
It's at 18-2. Like I just said, all their.
Oh yeah. Dallas is gonna win.
At Philly, again, I have us sweeping them, so that puts me at 8-7. You have the Eagles winning this one, right?
That's a win, yeah. That's a win.
So 8-7. I think our math is wrong, but I'm probably gonna have them at like 9-8, beating Washington. Could they lose to Washington one of those games? They're not going to sweep them forever, but until Washington or the Giants beat them, why would we not pick them? So I have them at about 9-8. And will the 9-8 get them in the wild card?
Yes, as like the 7th seed.
The last seed, because we know that 7th seed is pretty much useless.
Yes.
Except for the Packers last year, they finally made it interesting.
And you know what's going to happen? They're going to play us in Philly. We're going to be the 2 seed. They're going to be the 7th seed. And they're going to fucking beat us.
You're nuts.
I don't want to be nuts, but I think of the worst. When me being an Eagles fan, I think more of the worst than I do the positive. Because of how last year went.
They did end the guitar game. Their playoff losing streak against us in 2009, but no.
Yeah, the guitar game.
I think we're due, and again, we made enough changes to beat them. We have Saquon Barkley. We drafted Cooper DeJean, who the kid has confidence. There's definitely some concerns because, not trying to hate, I've seen things that he can like squat and deadlift like 500 pounds, but the kid is like tiny, right?
Yeah, he's a machine though. You know, he has the hops. He's very strong. He's very young. He could play versatility at any position. I think it was a good pick. But
no, I love the pick. It's just weird. Yeah. No, he looks like a man on the field, but if you look at his Instagram pics, like he looks like he's like 16 years old.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. That's definitely weird, but again, that's just like a random thing. Mitchell again. I think he's going to be a starter, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, if that happens, 2 versus 7, I mean, I think we beat them by 10 points, 2 touchdowns. I really do.
I know if that game happens, we're definitely going to go to that game.
1,000%. One last question before we close out today. Who's more likely to have a drop off, miss the playoffs, or like win less than 10 games, again, not hitting the over under for wins, the Eagles or the Cowboys?
Drop off? Cowboys.
Yeah, and I feel like that tells us all that we need to know.
Yeah. And now who's more likely to drop off, the Cowboys or the Lions?
I like this season in particular, I would have to say the Cowboys. I think the Lions are a damn good team. Like they're the division favorite, and they should be. Like Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson. Like those are 3 really good players.
Jameson Williams. Yep.
Dan Campbell, unexpected like players coach. I mean, you can tell they love that guy. Everyone.
Yeah, Montgomery as a back. You have Jamar Gibbs as a back. Yeah, they have a solid team.
No, they do. And again, the Cowboys, Dak, the contract situation, all like who even wants to hear about that anymore? It's really like, I don't know. How do we sign Jalen Hurts and all these other quarterbacks get signed, and then it takes Dak like 7 months, and there's a fucking segment, and it's like, aren't you like exhausted from it? Like it's not fun. It's you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It's really not fun. Every single year with the Cowboys and Eagles, people ask me, am I excited for the rivalry to resume back up? No. This rivalry has turned into what the Yankees and Red Sox rivalry is now. It's stale. No one really cares about it other than drunk people at Lincoln Financial Field getting revved up for the game. They're getting ready to go to the stadium. I don't think any sensible Eagles fan is saying, yeah, we're going to stop the Cowboys from getting the Super Bowl this year. Let's go. We all know they're going to lose regardless, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that too. They're not like a real threat, but on a more like simple level, 2 things usually happen. Well, number one, Dak and Hurts, like they haven't even matched up that many times in the past 3 seasons. Hurts was hurt on that Christmas game. That Christmas game was supposed to be huge in 22. It literally meant nothing.
I was
It was
so hungover that day.
we went to the Bendinucci game. Like, and
Oh
then
my
other games
god.
would just blow us out. Um, there was another game, the Andy Dalton, that Andy Dalton game. So it's never like the two franchise quarterbacks 40 to 37, like, or you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
27 to 24. I mean, the game last year at Philly, like that was a heart attack for us, and it was like a, wouldn't call it a great
Yeah,
game.
they almost came
We
back to
we,
win, but
we
for
almost gave
sure.
the game away. We almost gave the
Yeah,
game away, basically.
but we didn't.
Now, I really have to give one last thing. Would you re-sign Dak, or what kind of contract are you giving him? Again, two playoff wins. He beat the Lions, or I'm sorry, he beat the Seahawks in 2018. And who else did he beat? And he beat the Bucks with Tom Brady retiring.
All right, so here's the thing. So if I'm thinking logically and not as a hater, you kind of have to resign Dak just because you're not going to get anyone better right now. Even though he's not a winner in the playoffs, he's like they're stuck in limbo with like we were with McNabb. You know, very good during the regular season, but in the playoffs won't ever get it done. And listen, as a hater, I'm completely fine with that. But as a realistic fan, you're not going to get much better than him. No, you got to resign Dak Prescott for sure.
And again, it's not like a Dak love fest here, but what he has done in his numbers is kind of the same situation with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
He would be even better on another team, right?
Yeah.
Like it really I mean, the Cowboys aren't stupid. This team has the most money out of every team in the world. Like, they are picking the right players, but it's them and the culture and the attitude, that's what's holding them back, not even their actual players.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he even had more talent around him, or he could literally just focus and have a private life and not have to do a damn interview every hour, right? In that fucking facility. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine how good he could be. Not that the Cowboys don't have a lot of talent that helps him, but I mean, put him on the Bengals, put him on the Eagles. I mean, I'm not saying that he's better than Hurts. I think they're kind of like even. I mean, I would say Hurts better because he made it to the Super Bowl. But we did talk a lot today. Is there anything you want to just recap or add on that? Or
No, honestly, I'm just glad to be back. You know, it's good to have a show every single week where we can discuss this stuff. This one is our first 2 hour show ever. So we had a lot to discuss today. And yeah, I cannot wait for the season to start. Honestly, what is it? 99 days away now. I put it on my Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll put the thing, hashtag whatever, or at number in the comment section. But
we could have
yeah, it's like
went
90.
even longer today.
Oh yeah, we
Right?
could have went 3 hours, but unfortunately we both have like stuff to do. But oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So we're gonna start. I don't know when, probably not within the next month, but as the season comes closer, we're gonna start doing Monday shows and Friday shows, which means we're gonna have a pregame show and a post-game show right after the game, right before the games, right after the games. Reactions, people know me from my YouTube channel. I'm probably not going to do the split reactions. I'm probably just going to carry it over to the next day. I'm going to attempt a cool off period because you know how heated I get sometimes. And we're just going to create a new dynamic of Eagles sports talk that hasn't been done yet. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and we hope you guys enjoy us and join us for the ride.
Absolutely. We're about to kick into high gear with training camp. Again, love this episode with you, Kyle, today. Always something to talk about with the NFL. It's really the only sport that's 24 year round. That's why I love it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially with the Eagles. Hope everybody has a great weekend. If you have any summer plans already, or just relaxing, taking some time off from work, enjoy your free time, enjoy yourself. It's important.
Absolutely. And as always, we'll be back 2 p.m. on Fridays. And have a great weekend. Fly
Have
Eagles
a great,
fly. We're
have a
out.
great, have a great Eagles day, like Dave Spaderos. You've heard that before, right?
Yeah, I heard that.